more sense to some people. But he plays a character on the show whose name is Ralph Dibny, the Elongated Man. I would like that to be my nickname. Dean Richards, the Elongated Man. Anyway, that's the character that he played. But a couple of years before he was even on the show, he started in 2017. Apparently, he posted some remarks on Twitter that are being called racist and misogynistic. And he's not denying it. He instead has issued an apology saying that he's not going to make any excuses. He's very sorry, ashamed, and disappointed in himself for his ignorance back then, and says it's not reflective of who he is or how he thinks now. But even still, the TV show decided that he will not be back for season 7 once they start taping those. But I think they make that show in Toronto. He will not be back for the show.
Social media comments live forever. Be careful out there.
That's very true. You young kids out there posting nutty things on your social media.
Yeah. Finally, no good deed goes unpunished, I guess. Reese Witherspoon, she sued for a charity giveaway?
Yes. It's this really is no good deed goes unpunished. When the pandemic started, Reese Witherspoon and her business partners, who own a company called Draper James Clothing Company, wanted to do something for teachers who were going the extra mile during the pandemic and working with kids online and going by their houses and doing all the things that we know teachers are heroes for. So the company said that they wanted to give a free dress to all teachers, and they had something online where you had to fill out an application. On the application, it did say that supplies are limited. It didn't say just completely unlimited dresses will be given away. And nearly 1 million teachers did apply for this, and they provided the information that was asked for on the application. And all but 250 of them did not get free dresses. They only had 250 dresses to give away. The class action lawsuit said that it should have been more clear that not everybody was going to get a free dress, even though it did say supplies are unlimited. Supplies were limited, rather. The attorney for Reese Witherspoon's company says this is an unjust attempt to exploit their good intentions, and they'll see them in court.
There you go. Dean Richards, appreciate it. Talk to you tomorrow.
See you, Bob.
Got a favorite hot dog stand? Want a free Vienna grilling apron? Supplies are limited, but we'll get to that after this.
It's sponsored by Grandview Homes. New information from the World Health Organization on COVID-19 produces skeptical reaction.
Baseball awaits a decision on the latest offer from MLB to the players hoping to start the season.
In business, the opening bell is ringing right now on Wall Street. The Dow has started the day in the red, down nearly 368 points. The S&P is off more than 1% in the early going. The NASDAQ is up more than 1%. Now with WGN Traffic, here's Mary Vanderveld.
And traffic is sponsored by Plumbers911.com. Edens looks good in both directions, along with the Kennedy Eisenhower accident off to the side. Inbound at Racine, Stevenson, and the Dan Ryan are both clear. We have an accident in Forest View. It's at 47th and Harlem. Some police activity still on the south side at Pershing and Western, and an accident involving a train and a car. No injuries reported in Elgin, but Lawrence and Crystal, that area is blocked off. And all the bridges now open in the down position downtown, including the Wabash Bridge. Do you have a plumbing emergency at your home or business? Don't panic. Call Plumbers 911. Plumbers 911 provides Chicagoland with licensed and highly trained plumbers 24/7. Call Plumbers 911 at 1-833-PLUM-911. I'm Mary Vanderveld from the IDOT Traffic Center, reminding you to drive responsibly. It really is a matter of life or death.
Now the forecast from the Permaseal Weather Center: mainly cloudy, humid, and windy with showers and maybe strong thunderstorms later. High near 89, a little cooler at the lakefront. Winds gusting as high as 40 to 50 miles per hour. Tonight, showers and thunderstorms low down to 70, and then tomorrow mostly cloudy. Again, there's a chance for some showers and thunderstorms, and a high near 80. It's 74 at O'Hare, 76 at Midway, 78 along the lakefront. It's 73 in Kenosha. A World Health Organization official says it may be very rare for asymptomatic people to transmit coronavirus to one another. The WHO's technical lead on COVID-19 says while it may be rare, it is not out of the question, however. Dr. John Torres is medical correspondent for NBC News.
People without symptoms aren't spreading coronavirus, even though they have the virus. But they mentioned not that many people don't have symptoms. Most people start out without symptoms, but eventually do get them.
The Harvard Global Health Initiative is expressing skepticism about the WHO's claim, saying asymptomatic transmission may actually account for 40 to 60% of transmission. The ongoing recommendation is to continue social distancing and wearing masks. More than 700,000 people in the Middle East may have now contracted COVID-19. And if you thought warmer weather might be wiping out the deadly virus, think again. It's actually continuing to spread quickly in one of the hottest regions on the planet. In Israel, the prime minister says he's putting the emergency brakes on easing more restrictions after infections have spiked there, forcing more than 100 schools to close again. More from ABC News correspondent Jordana Miller.
Despite the hot weather, COVID-19 is showing no signs of abating here in the Middle East. Infections over the last 2 weeks up on average 17%. The most worrying spots? Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and Egypt, where infection rates rose over 50% since the end of May. Death rates, however, remain low. Better news from Iran, infections there falling 40% from last week's all-time high of 3,500 a day. Jordana Miller, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Congressional Democrats introducing legislation to overhaul policing in America. The bill, called Justice in Policing Act, would ban chokeholds, no-knock warrants in drug cases, and create a national police misconduct registry. It would also make it easier for people to sue for damages when police departments violate their civil rights. And for the first time, lynching would be classified as a federal hate crime. Joe Biden is opposed to calls to defund police departments, following calls from activists across the country to do that. The presumptive Democratic presidential candidate explained his views to CBS News.
I don't support defunding the police. I support conditioning federal aid to police based on whether or not they meet certain basic standards of decency and honorableness and are able to demonstrate they can protect the community and everybody in the community.
Calls to defund police have grown amid nationwide protests over the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis police custody. A police officer knelt on his neck for nearly 9 minutes during an arrest 2 weeks ago. President Trump is opposed to any plan to reduce or eliminate funding for police departments. During a briefing, White House press secretary said Trump believes that most cops are good, hardworking people. The president's White House press secretary said Trump is looking at a number of possible police reforms. A Chicago police officer has been stripped of his police powers because of his behavior last week in Lincoln Park. As the officer and his partner left the scene of a George Floyd protest, he was caught on camera flipping off protesters. Mayor Lightfoot's calling for him to be fired. For now, the superintendent's office says the officer has been demoted to desk duty. His name hasn't been released. And now with WGN Sports, here's Dave Ennett.
No formal response yet from Major League Baseball players to the owners on the latest offer of a 76-game season at 75% of their prorated salaries. The players' last proposal was for 114 games. This proposal also eliminates all free agent compensation for the first time since free agency began more than 40 years ago. Cubs boss Theo Epstein says having just 2 African-American executives and 2 managers in baseball shows the game's not where it needs to be when it comes to diversity. Epstein says silence is complicity, and he says the Cubs will hold themselves accountable to be better on diversity. 2 former Clemson football players turned NFL stars, DeAndre Hopkins and Deshaun Watson, are petitioning the university to remove the name of John C. Calhoun from the school's honors college. Calhoun was a slave owner. The campus was built on the site of his plantation. And the U.S. women's national soccer team is calling on the U.S. Soccer Federation to pull back its policy on the national anthem. U.S. Soccer bans kneeling during the anthem. The women's team wants the Federation to acknowledge the policy was wrong. Dave Ennett, WGN Sports.
Your Money on WGN, sponsored by T-Mobile for Business. Visit T-MobileForBusiness.com. In the early going on Wall Street this morning, stocks moving lower. The Dow is down 262 points, nearly 1% at 27,309. The S&P is down nearly 30 points, almost 1%. NASDAQ down now about 39 points off nearly a third. Markets around the world generally in the red this morning, although we saw a few gains in Asia. The United States is officially in a recession. It began before the pandemic hit. That bucks a trend of unprecedented 128 months of economic growth. National Bureau of Economic Research shows the GDP dropped 5% in the first quarter of 2020. Analysts expect the drop to continue into the second quarter of the year as well. The fight against racism and injustice will be aided by a lot of money from Comcast. The media giant says it'll put $100 million toward the effort over the next 3 years. And I'm Steve Grzanich on Chicago's very own 720 WGN.
Good morning. It's 8:39. We talk about restaurants being the fabric of our city and the soul of our neighborhoods and cities. And unique to our great communities are all the great hot dog stands, as we call them here. No other city has what we have. Growing up around here, the questions you get are, where'd you go to high school and what was your hot dog joint? Nobody cares where you went to college. Talk about the ultimate small mom and pop independent businesses. And longtime Vienna Vice President Bob Schwartz is with us this morning. Bob checked in to see how some of the hot dog restaurants that don't get a lot of media attention, like Superdog or Wiener Circle or a lot of North Side places, are doing. Hey, Bob, what'd you find out? How's everybody coping?
Well, good morning again, Bob. It's nice to talk to you. I also want to thank Dean Richards for opening for me today.
Of course.
And
anytime.
And and hot dog stands are really part of the culture of Chicago. One of the most significant parts of the restaurant concept that makes us different. Those independent restaurateurs are the guys that really are the backbone of so many communities.
Yeah, and I was thinking that a lot of them are equipped pretty well for the pandemic because some of them don't have a lot of room inside to dine. What did you find out when you surveyed a lot of these places?
Well, you're absolutely right. I think that even the ones that have some room inside are coping with it by offering so many things. It makes it an easy carryout. And menus just aren't hot dogs anymore. You know, there are so many places that we know, like Gene and Jude's and Rand Red Hots, and I have a lot of respect for those guys that can offer a hot dog and not much else. And they do very, very well selling those. But so many of these restaurants today have specialty sandwiches that they're offering. And I also want to mention in a little bit that the big question people have are there any new hot dog stands? And there are, and I will get to that. But I wanted to mention a couple right away from the southwest side. You know, you were talking about all the North Side guys, and you and I have commiserated on stuff because we really go to those places a little bit more often because we live up there. But there are so many places around the city and these other suburban areas that have a neighborhood following. And one is a place called Fat Ricky's in Romeoville. Fat Ricky's, and I think they also have a couple of places in Tinley and Plainfield, but they're on Independence Boulevard in Romeoville, and dogs and beef, and he even makes a deep dish pizza, and it's a guy named Ricky. Not to be confused with the Ricky you and I know that distributes to some of the hot dog stands up north. But they do a great job.
And I know you checked off a few other places that don't get a lot of publicity because they're either on the south side or they're way out in the burbs. What else did you want to mention? Because we need to give everybody a little bit of help these days.
Well, they're one, and another one that's on the southwest side that is getting some attention, I should mention, is Joey's in Orland Park. I don't think there's anybody in Orland Park that doesn't know about Joey's. It's at 174th and Wolf Road, and they have a second place now on 115th and Southwestern in Morgan Park. But Anthony and Nick are the two guys that started this about 4 or 5 years ago they are just rocking, and they even have a little place next door to the hot dog place that is a pizza joint. So they have separated the two, and they make a poor boy sandwich that is poor boy pepper and egg sandwich that is awesome there. But another one that's interesting in Hillside is called the Original Chickies, and that's run by Chucky, who is a nephew of Chicky, and he is, and the Original Chickies that opened on Pulaski, you would know for the same reason that I fell in love with it, is Chicky had told me to try their Italian beef sandwich, and I said it's really great, and it reminds me of my favorite place, Franny's. And a big smile came to his face, and he says, Franny's is Vince DiVincenzo, and Vince is like a brother to me, and I'm the guy that mentored him when he was getting into the food business.
I love the fact that you know the history of all these places, and there are a lot of interconnections. Franny's is out in Schiller Park, and Vinny's somewhat famous out there in Schiller Park, isn't he?
Yeah, he's done a great job, and his son Vince Jr. has also done a fabulous job in adding a catering dimension to their business, which is the other thing that so many of these places are starting to do, including Joey's, like Chris at Pucci's. These places don't do much catering right now, but when time permits and the virus is less of a factor, they are rocking in that side of the business. But they're all doing different things to drive people into their places.
Yeah, and the fact that you write about these hot dog joints, as we affectionately call them in your book, Never Put Ketchup on a Hot Dog, is also a history of all these neighborhoods, because when you tell the story of the genesis of some of these restaurants, it's the story of a neighborhood. And after a quick break, we'll take a couple of calls if you have a favorite hot dog stand you want to know about. You can't stump the stand man. Bob Schwartz knows all. We have some Vienna grilling aprons to give away. 312-981-7200. You want to get in on that conversation. More momentarily. Let's get the update on a few things, including our changing weather today. I guess we're okay till after lunch or so, right, Steve?
Yeah, it looks like that. We're monitoring a couple of the different things we're expecting to ratchet up today, including the wind and the humidity. Meteorologist Morgan Kochmeyer was telling us we could see dew point readings in the 70s today, but right now we're only at 58 on that, so relative humidity is about 57%. And the winds, which could be gusting up to 50 miles per hour today, right now are only out of the southeast at 10. So all clear right now, but all of those things are going to change today with a high near 89 and maybe some severe weather a little bit later in the day. Cooler at the lakefront. Again, those wind gusts as high as 40 to 50 miles per hour has prompted a wind advisory as we move through the day. Showers and thunderstorms tonight, low 70, then mostly cloudy with showers and thunderstorms tomorrow and a high near 80. Right now in Chicago, partly sunny at O'Hare and 74. 78 at Midway, 75 at the Lakefront, 78 in Gary.
The NFL gives teams instructions on how to fully reopen their facilities for business. MLB makes a new proposal to the players for a 76-game season. And college football works on a plan to bring teams back and get ready for a season, including a 4-week training camp.
Watch for an accident inbound Ryan in the express lanes at 43rd. 2 right lanes are blocked. Otherwise, no accidents on the Edens, Kennedy, Eisenhower, or the Stevenson. Still have one in Forest View at 47th and Harlem. Crew still on the scene of an earlier accident involving a train and a car. No injuries in Elgin at Lawrence and Crystal. That intersection is still blocked off. And westbound entrance ramp from 8094, actually the westbound 8094 entrance ramp from southbound Grant is still closed until June 30th with some road work. I'm Mary Vandeveld from the IDOT Traffic Center, reminding you to drive responsibly. It really is a matter of life or death.
The Chicago heat has officially arrived. Prepare for whatever the summer brings with a Trane air conditioning system from Apt. There is no name in HVAC more trusted than Trane. And when you buy from Apt, Chicagoland's largest Trane dealer, you know you're getting a guaranteed low price, professional installation, and 24-hour emergency service. Call 847-544-2228 or visit Apt today to learn more about Trane AC products. Apt, pleasing people since 1936. I think that's the year that Bob Schwartz first signed on with Vienna as vice president. He's with us this morning to talk hot dogs. Before we take some calls, Bob, finish up your list of underappreciated stands that don't get a lot of publicity.
Well, there's a place called Sporty's and a guy named Rocco that runs it, and it's out in Bloomingdale. Whoever goes to Bloomingdale, well, people that live in Bloomingdale love it there. Mm-hmm. And it's at 448 Army Trail Road, and they've got some interesting things on the menu like homemade chicken tenders and a pot roast sandwich. And, you know, those are the things that make them special. Fireman's hot dogs out in Schaumburg is great. The original Nana's in Streamwood is awesome. And I wanted to mention that, you know, we have Hot Dog University in Vienna that helps teach people how to open a hot dog stand. And there are a couple of successful vendors out there that took the class and have done well. And one of them is Frank's Original, a guy named Nick Carone, who's out in Lake Geneva on Broad Street, and he's doing a terrific job. But one that I visited 2 weeks ago is in Mount Washington, and they're a new hot dog stand that opened up this year and are dealing with all of the things that we're dealing with, and they're doing okay. And it's called Hubby's in the Doghouse.
And that's
a cute name, and it's Marcy and Will Leonard that own it, and it's at 208 South Main Street, Mount Prospect.
Got it. All right, let's go to the phones because everybody's got a favorite they want to know more about. And I know, Bob, you know the history of all these places. Susan in Rogers Park, what was your favorite?
Mustard's Last Stand on Central in Evanston.
Yeah, that's a big Northwestern hangout, isn't it, Bob?
Well, it's not only Northwestern. It's an iconic place in that whole area, and it's right by Ryan Field there, right across the parking lot from there. And they do a fabulous job. They've been there for nearly a half century, and they're actually in our Hot Dog Hall of Fame. So they don't go underappreciated.
Thanks for the call, Susan. Hold on. We'll get you a Vienna grilling apron. And here's Linda from Libertyville. Good morning, Linda.
Good morning. How are you?
What's going on in your hot dog world?
Well, I'm in Libertyville, but I frequent Sammy's in Round Lake and in Grays Lake.
You know about those places, Bob?
Oh, my gosh. That has a very storied history in that Sammy's father got them a hot dog cart and put it on Irving Park Road when they were kids for Sammy and his brother to operate. And after a while, they ended up saying, you know what, let's move where there's nobody around. And they moved to Grays Lake, and they haven't looked back. They've got several places. They are also a member of our Hot Dog Hall of Fame.
Hang on, Linda. We'll get you a grilling apron from Vienna. Let's check in. We mentioned Mount Prospect. Gary, did you have a favorite?
Yeah, we go to Rand's Red Hots.
I know you know about that place, Bob. We've been there.
Yeah, we have, and that's a great place. I agree with you. They have great hot dogs and great, I think, probably one of the best French fries in the area. It's excellent. They do a great job, and they have a drive-through, which is a real important thing in these days right now.
Hang on, Gary, and we'll get you one of those aprons. Bob, why is it that Chicago is the only city with this kind of hot dog culture and these small, great hot dog businesses? You can't find that anywhere else, can you?
Well, you kind of touched on it both in the book and at the beginning of the show when people ask what high school and what church and neighborhood and all that. That's how it began, and it's a center, it's a meeting place, and people have a comfort zone of going there. And even people that are out of town and leave Chicago miss it so much that it's the first place they go when they come back is to stop at their favorite place. And now they can order at viennabeef.com and get that same stuff around the country as well.
Yeah, it's the personal touch. Growing up in Albany Park, we went to Maury's on Lawrence Avenue, and Maury knew your order. You could walk in there, and he'd already start making it. And when the McDonald's opened up down the street, it didn't really matter much because they didn't know anything about us. And then years later, everybody went back to Maury's, and there were reunions almost every week, and he kind of kept track of everybody because everybody checked in with Maury. And that's how it is at a lot of these places, isn't it?
Oh, it is, definitely. And those are the kinds of things that some of these guys that are having these places now are trying to emulate what went on in that era. And it's tough, but some of them are a part of the fabric of that neighborhood, and it makes it special. Wiener Take All has a new owner now. They were very special when Drew Olber had it, and then it had a different owner. And now the guy is a neighborhood guy again, who grew up in the Northbrook area but lives in Buffalo Grove right near the hot dog stand. And I think that's a prerequisite for some of these guys feeling the neighborhood.
It's Bob Schwartz, longtime VP at Vienna. He's sort of the encyclopedia of hot dog stands. If you can find it, get the book, Never Put Ketchup on a Hot Dog. And Bob, I don't know if you saw it yet on YouTube, but the Wiener Circle put together a little commercial. I can't play the audio here because they'd close us down, but you'll be amused. You got to check that out. It's what you'd expect from the Wiener Circle.
Well, I can't tell you how many people have sent it to me, including a friend from Seattle.
It's famous and infamous. All right, Bob, check back with us later this summer because we can never get to all the calls from people who want to know about the history of their particular hot dog joint or want to just nominate their favorite. So keep in touch.
Well, you're a great fan of the hot dog community, and we appreciate that as well. Good talking to you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, as you know, don't ask me about fine wines or Chateaubriand, but I can give you the lowdown on all the great hot dogs around here. Talk to you soon, Bob. Be well.
You bet. Bye-bye.
News is next, and we'll be back to close it up with a few parting words. The Northwestern Medicine Newsroom opens up again at 9. Well, guess who will be getting a hot dog for lunch today? You got the craving? Of course. We will see you tomorrow morning. I'm going to figure out how to get a mask that has a flap or a zipper in it or something for air conditioning. Kind of hot these days with a mask on. And also, I was shopping the other day trying to sip some tea while I was shopping, and that was hard to do. We need to work on that. Thanks for being with us. John Williams coming up right after the news. Enjoy the day before the storms hit after lunch, and be safe and be healthy. And Excelsior.
Officer's been shot on the southwest side.
Baseball tries again, a new offer to the players.
In business after the first half hour of trading on Wall Street, the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P are lower. The the S&P and Dow by more than 1%. Dow down nearly 400 points. Now let's get an update on WGN traffic with Mary Vandeveld.
And traffic is sponsored by CVS. On the up-on side of the Kennedy, an accident at 294. 2 right lanes are blocked with that. Accident cleared on the inbound Ryan at 43rd out of the express lanes. Traveling in the Lake Porter County, Indiana area, all lanes closed right at the border. US 231 at County Line Road due to a serious accident there. And in Forest View, still have an accident at 47th and Harlem. Westbound 8094 entrance ramp from southbound Grant still closed until June 30th with road work. CVS Pharmacy delivers, and right now, to meet the needs of the current health situation, they're offering free 1 to 2 day delivery of prescriptions and other store essentials. Visit CVS.com or call your local CVS pharmacy to get started. Restrictions apply. I'm Mary Vandeveld from the IDOT Traffic Center, reminding you to drive responsibly. It really is a matter of life or death.
And now the forecast from the WGN Chicago Weather Center. Here's meteorologist Morgan Kolkmeyer.
Good morning. We'll see after effects of what was Tropical Storm Cristobal. That's bringing cloud cover to us this morning. Temps in the 60s and 70s. It'll bring us scattered storms this afternoon. Heavy rain under some of those storms and a low risk for a spin up or two from them. We'll also see very gusty winds out of the southeast, so a touch cooler at the lake, sustained at 20 to 25 miles per hour, gusting as high as 40 to 50 miles per hour. So very windy conditions, plus very humid conditions. Dew points rise into the 70s here later today, with air temperatures in the upper 80s near 90 and a touch cooler at the lake. From the WGN Weather Center, I'm Morgan Kolkmeyer.
We're up to 81 now with partly sunny skies at O'Hare, an east wind at 10, the relative humidity at 50%. 71 is the reading at the lakefront right now. At Midway, it's 80. In Waukegan, it's also 80. Topping the news at this hour, Chicago police searching for 2 men who shot an off-duty police officer during an attempted robbery this morning. WGN's Shannon Halligan is at Mount Sinai Hospital.
That officer is listed in fair condition here at Mount Sinai Hospital. According to police, this happened around 3:20 this morning near Pershing and South Artesian, which is near McKinley Park. Police say the off-duty officer was walking to his car when 2 men came up to him. One of them reportedly showed a gun and then fired it. The officer was shot in the leg and did fire back at the suspect. It's not known, though, if either of the 2 men were hit by any bullets because they took off.
Calls to defund police departments ringing across the country and right here in Chicago in the wake of the George Floyd killing in Minneapolis. Supporters say the movement is not just about taking money away from police departments. It's a push to shift those resources to community-based organizations. Law enforcement agencies say removing funding would be dangerous for the public. Governor Pritzker says calls to defund the police are, in his words, a poor use of words to describe what many people really want. Governor says change is really what they want. Fundamental change, he says, in the way police departments operate. Pritzker says there's a deep history of racism built into the institutions of government, including police departments.
The vast majority of police want to do the right thing. But there is, nevertheless, racism that lives within the body of these organizations, of institutions like police departments.
He says the state has to fight against racism every day by holding police departments accountable for racist incidents. Chicago's McCormick Place has lost its biggest trade show of 2020 due to the pandemic. The International Manufacturing Technology Show has been canceled. The event was scheduled to take place at the near Southside Convention Center September 14th through the 19th. More than 129,000 people were signed up to attend, which was expected to account for about 99,000 hotel room nights. Organizers say they pulled the plug because of uncertainty surrounding when conventions can resume in Illinois under Governor Pritzker's reopening plan. Nearly 100 events scheduled at McCormick Place have been canceled since March. The Wiener Circle in Chicago is known to get a bit R-rated, especially if you go there at night. Now they're offering some of that verbal abuse from the comfort of your home in a new commercial posted online.
The distance between us has grown, and we're yearning for the contact we once had. We just want someone to tell us everything will be okay, and to hear.
What on, you fat, round Richie Cunningham?
You can FaceTime a phone number and get some verbal abuse while making your order online, which can then be picked up curbside. A portion of every sale is being donated to the Chicago Black-Owned Restaurant Relief Fund, as well as the Chicago Community COVID-19 Response Fund. Now with WGN Neighborhood News, here's Kim Gordon.
Looking for a new book to read? The Illinois Holocaust Museum has launched the One Museum, One Book book club. The first book is The Choice, Embrace the Possible, a memoir by Holocaust survivor and psychologist Dr. Edith Eva Eger. The book was Oprah's pick for World Book Day last year. There will be a discussion Thursday night at 7. You can log on to the museum's website to register. I'm Kim Gordon with Neighborhood News on 720 WGN.
Now with WGN Sports, here's Dave Ennett.
Good morning. They haven't given up just yet. Major League Baseball sent the Players Union a new proposal, not 114 games, but more than 50, 76 games ending by the end of September, followed by the postseason. The deal would pay the players 75% of their prorated salaries as long as there is a postseason. MLB says it needs an answer by tomorrow. The union is expected to counter. Some candid comments Monday from Cubs president Theo Epstein and a pledge to make the Cubs front office more diverse. As Epstein put it at a conference call, the majority of people he's hired look a lot like him. And if you were listening to WGN Radio 10 years ago tonight, you heard this.
Here's Kane now, juking his way to the right, lower left corner. Shoots, he scores! Oh, no, that's turned wide by Layton. Loose puck in the crease, and now it's in the net. They score! It's in! They score! It's in! The Hawks win the Stanley Cup! The Hawks win the Stanley Cup!
John Weideman and Troy Murray on the call, June 9th, 2010. The Blackhawks capture their first Stanley Cup since 61, and the first of 3 in 6 years, 10 years ago tonight.
Play more of that. Play more of that. I mean, you don't have to do it now, but I would say every 3-4 minutes, just interrupt what we're doing and play some of that. It's nice to hear live sports. It's nice to hear.
Wedged off the puck. Puck taken back by Campbell, left point. Drops to the Kane on the left half boards. Here's Kane now, juking his way to the right, lower left corner. Shoots, he scores! Oh, no, that's turned wide by Layton. Loose puck in the crease, and now it's in the net. They score! It's in! They score! It's in! The Hawks win the Stanley Cup!
It's Dave Ennett's ringtone.
Yes, it is. Dave Ennett, WGN Sports.
Now WGN Business, your money with Orion Samuelson.
Good morning. Every market screen I look at this morning is red. We're lower in agriculture. We're lower on Wall Street. Wall Street investors are looking to the Federal Reserve Open Market Committee meeting. That's a 2-day event this week, and they'll be reporting on their actions, if any, on Wednesday when they end their 2-day summary. But for now, the stock market, Dow Industrial Average down 367 points. The S&P 500 down 36 points. The NASDAQ is down 37 points. Price of oil also lowered today, with Brent crude down 52 cents, $40.28 a barrel, and U.S. crude is down 27 cents at $37.92. Turning to the grain trade at the Chicago Board of Trade this morning, the July contracts, wheat is down 8 1/4 cents at $5, 3 1/4 cents a bushel. Corn is down 4 1/4 cents, trading at $3.29.5, and soybeans down 7 1/2 cents a bushel at $8.57.5 a bushel. Livestock futures, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, June lean hog contract down 55 cents, trading at $48.02. The June live cattle contract now has turned higher. It's up 37 cents, but the other live cattle months trading lower. And the August feeder cattle contract down 87 cents,
trading at $132.20 a hundredweight. That's your money on 720 WGN.
And I'm Steve Grzanich on Chicago's very own 720 WGN.
Hi, it's Lindsay of House Smarts Radio. You've heard me talk about Builder's Supply Outlet for years, but now hear from their customer Marnie in Western Springs.
So working with Lane was great because I came in and I showed her pictures of the different designs that I was looking for my bathroom. She would help me. We walked through the aisles. We pulled different pieces together to see what it looked like. And at other stores, it was not the same experience at all. And she helped me look at countertops that would match with the tile, paint colors. She told me to go with the herringbone pattern, which I did, and it was amazing. Overall experience was great. She was there for me all the time. Any question I had, she would answer. I'm so glad I went there, and I'm still going back there because I'm buying all my doors.
Another satisfied customer. But remember, we're so much more than bath tile. Builder's Supply Outlet is located just 5 miles east of the Oakbrook Shopping Mall on Cermak Road in Broadview, or online at buildersupplyoutlet.com.
Quality and savings are what you get at Builder Supply Outlet.
Things are looking up, Chicagoland, with summer around the corner. It's time to get your annual air conditioning tune-up from Lindemann Chimney Heating and Cooling. Schedule today at lindemann.com. That's lindemann.com.
New car dealers are open and ready for business. The latest cleaning safety procedures offer peace of mind as you shop for your next vehicle. Whether it's new or used, car or truck, you'll find it at one of 400 Chicagoland new car dealers. Begin your search today at drivechicago.com.
It is now 9:11. And good morning. This is John Williams. You're listening to WGN Radio. Of course, we appreciate that. That is, of course, you probably noticed if you were listening to Bob Sirott. Anyway, I'm here from weekdays from 9 to noon. Noon to 1, we'll do the Wintrust Business Lunch. We've got a busy show planned for you, including what does it mean to defund the police or dismantle the police. I feel about that a little bit like I do climate change. That is, it matters what you call it. So you could say global warming, and then people say, well, it's not so warm today. Maybe global warming isn't a problem, but climate change you always knew was. I always thought they should have called it climate change. Whatever they have in mind for restructuring the police, I don't think you should call it dismantle or defund, because that sounds crazy. We'll talk a little bit more about that a little later on this morning with some folks from Minnesota. You know, they did that in Camden, New Jersey, where they had a terrible crime rate. One of the highest in the country per capita, and it's now cut in half for some of the reasons that they say they implemented, you know, restructuring or rethinking. But defund, dismantle, that may be good in the streets when you're chanting, but it just doesn't sound like a good idea, does it? We will do our speed jokes a little later on this morning at 9:38, a lightning-fast round of what we think are some pretty fun jokes you might enjoy. Sometimes I like to give the gang the first half of the joke and ask them to come up with the punchline. Today, get your number 2 pencils ready, campers. You'll be asked to finish this joke. Hold on, let me turn to the page. I want to get this just right, Dave. I accidentally rubbed ketchup in my eyes. Now I have. I accidentally rubbed ketchup in my eyes. Now I have blank. Look at how fast.
No, I don't know.
Look at
I like the setup.
That's the lightning fast work of a mind that already knows the punchline.
I accidentally rubbed ketchup in my eyes. And
now I have blank.
Now I have blank.
Yeah. Steve Grzanich is working on that. Mary Vanderveld's working on that, and hopefully you are too at home. You can always send your really good speed jokes to John Williams at WGNradio.com. We're getting both the really good jokes and the not really good jokes. We sort through them and do the best we can at 9:38. For the first time in 3 months today, I took the L. For 3 years, it was my daily commute. Since around St. Patrick's Day, I haven't ridden it. Elif and I both took separate Red Line trains today. I think our experience was illuminating. I'll get to that after we do a little bit of business here, starting with that forecast, Steve Grzanich.
It's going to be mainly cloudy later as we move through the day and more humid and windy as well. Showers and maybe strong thunderstorms. High near 89. We could see some severe weather as we move into this evening with a little cooler temperatures at the lakefront. The winds gusting as high as 40 to 50 miles per hour today. Showers and thunderstorms tonight, low down to 70, then mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms tomorrow and a high near 80. 80 right now in Chicago. Partly sunny, 81 at O'Hare, and at Midway, it's 71 along the lakefront.
The Baseball Players Union hasn't formally rejected the owner's latest offer yet, but at least there's still hope they can keep talking. The newest offer calls for a 76-game season and an expanded field up to 16 for the playoffs. Cubs are creating a diversity committee, which team president Theo Epstein hopes sets better standards for them when it comes to issues related to diversity. And Minnesota Vikings running back Dalvin Cook intends to hold out while seeking a new contract.
Watch for an accident inbound Ryan in the express lanes at Garfield. 3 left lanes are blocked. Also an accident on the outbound Kennedy at 294, blocking the 2 right lanes. Otherwise, no major delays on the expressway's southwest side. Police activity still at Pershing and Western. Accident at the Lake Porter County area. All lanes closed at US 231 at County Line Road due to a serious accident there. I'm Mary Vandeveld from the IDOT Traffic Center, reminding you to drive responsibly. It really is a matter of life or death.
I really like Amy. Avril's nice too. And I can totally see myself with Abigail.
Well, well, well.
What?
Abigail, Avril, and Amy? Sounds like you've got a big choice on your hands.
I don't know what to do. They're all great. Amy is pretty, but I'm not sure she's my style. Avril is sturdy. I like sturdy. But I could see Abigail sticking around for a long, long time.
So, which one are you going to choose?
Why not all 3?
All 3?
Sure. I do have 3 bedrooms.
Wait. These are beds, aren't they?
Of course. Amy, Avril, and Abigail are 3 of our most popular fabric beds at Penny Mustard.
Fabric beds?
You know, sophisticated solid wood construction, covered with the finest upholstered fabric.
Lots of options like tufted, straight, and plush.
Take home all 3.
Amy, starting at $12.55.
Avril, starting at $13.62.
And Abigail, starting at $14.47 at Penny Mustard.
6 locations throughout Chicagoland.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard.
I've always wanted to learn another language, but every time I try, it never sticks. So I decided to give Babbel a try, and I really like the teaching method of the app. I started with the beginner lesson on Babbel, and it starts with simple words and phrases, and soon you're putting those words into a conversation. Each lesson takes about 10 to 15 minutes, and they're all really different, which keeps things interesting. The app is really smart. It actually keeps track of the words I'm struggling with, so I can practice them and get better. I chose Babbel because it was created by real language teachers. They built it around real life, how people actually communicate, and what they care about. I can't wait to use my new language skills in the real world. Dos cervezas, por favor.
With Babbel, get conversational in Spanish, French, German, and more. It just takes 10 to 15 minutes a day. Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com or download the Babbel app and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
9:17.
If it's Tuesday, it's Tuesdays with Tom. Tom Skilling will be here to tell us when our once sunny, now stormy weather will turn sunny again. Rocon at 3.
Now it's time for Dave Ennett and me to read a couple of announcements, but Dave may be distracted because he's sitting there going, okay, I rubbed ketchup in my eyes. The man is thoroughly engrossed in what the punchline will be at 9:38. As Illinois reopens, everyone is required to wear masks when going out if you can't keep social distance. I'm sure you know that. Chicago-based EW Masks has you covered. EWMasks.com. EWMasks.com has a comprehensive selection of masks, great prices, volume discounts. Don't be fooled by other companies making outrageous claims. EW Masks follows the strict regulations regarding masks set forth by the FDA. Whether you're an employer and need to buy in bulk for customers and employees as you reopen, or maybe you're just a responsible individual and you want to protect yourself and others, EW Masks have you covered. I wear EW Masks. You should too. There's fast shipping to any location, or you can do curbside pickup same day at 1317 West North Avenue. Order now. EWMasks.com has you covered.
They're Chicago and they're real. Watch Dan Ponce, Lauren Jiggets, Larry Potash, Robin Baumgarten get real in the morning with the WGN TV Morning News team, weekdays 4 to 10.
I'm going to believe Steve Grzanich. He said winds 40 miles an hour coming. Storms may be severe. We'll keep you posted this morning and this afternoon. I was going to ride my bicycle to work, and then I saw that and thought, well, I don't want to be riding home in that. But I had decided that it was time to stop driving every day. So Elf and I on separate trains took the Red Line to work. We haven't done that in forever. I don't know when the last time, probably about the time I did, Elf, and that was around St. Patrick's Day, right? St. Patrick's Day, I think that weekend, and thereafter we started driving in. And I don't like it one bit. I mean, I prefer to take the train. I like my walk from my train station. I like my walk to my train station. I support public transit, etc. So I thought I'd give it a chance. Walked to the train this morning, about 6:30, and the train station was completely empty. This is the Red Line up near Wrigley Field, and that's normally a bustle of activity. So I go through an empty train station. I was like, wow, you're still open. Good, good. I'd heard that they were open, and I heard that Lori Lightfoot said that the CTA was back to regular schedules after, minimizing it recently. I got up onto the platform. There were not 10 people on the platform, which normally would be busy, crowded. And I felt kind of good and kind of bad about that, right? Like, okay, good, nobody's near me, but I'm like, maybe if nobody else is here, I shouldn't be here. You wonder about the wisdom of this. I got onto a car with 5 people. These are cars that, hold 90 people. And later in the morning, and certainly in the afternoon, it's shoulder to shoulder. There were 5 people on my L car. I continue to describe them as 100-foot-long Ubers because there's a lot of space for just you in there, right? I get on the car with 5 people. One's a homeless guy sleeping on the bench in the middle. He's not wearing a mask, just like old times. There's an announcement over the PA on the train to only use the CTA for essential service. Okay, but we're essential workers. No one is around to ask people to put masks on. I saw no signs encouraging people to do so. Ella said she did. So I sit away from the guy sleeping on the bench with no mask, and there's a guy sitting across from me and a few seats down, and I didn't pay much attention to him, but after a while I look up and I see that he's disheveled, reading a newspaper, he's carrying his belongings in a garbage bag, and he's not wearing a face mask either. So a few stops later I get off, and then I go to a different car, just thinking maybe the air will be a little safer there. And in the next car, there's, again, very sparsely populated L car. And 4 of the 6 people of color on that car did not have masks on. The 3 or 4 white people that were on that car did. I bring that up because people of color are the hardest hit community in the Chicago area for COVID-19. I get off the car eventually. I walk downtown about a mile from my L stop to the radio station. I go behind the 900 North Michigan Avenue shops, the big Nordstrom store. I go by Trump Tower, the Wrigley Building. I snake across the river, head to a 303 East Wacker. And I'll bet in my walk to the radio station today, I did not see 50 people. Normally I would see maybe 1,000, right? So say what you want about the restaurants opening up and the markets are looking good economically. The economic devastation in Chicago is evidenced by the absence of people. I should have encountered thousands of folks today, which either gets you to A, we need to hustle along and really start loosening restrictions and open things up and let's energize the city, or the opposite, we need to stay resolute. Don't buckle to the pressure. But I'm telling you, that was just, I concluded when I got off the L train this morning that was a bad idea. And I don't like that about myself, but I also am a little mad at the CTA because should not somebody have, there should have been an announcement every 30 seconds saying, thank you for riding the CTA. You should have a mask on. And I don't know how you're going to police that. I don't want to be the people that have to police that, but it just did not feel safe. And I suspect it was, right? Like when I'm standing in line at the grocery store, I was much closer to people. Granted, a grocery store has more air. It's not as confined. You're just doing all these calculations in your head. Like, well, is this any different than going to the Starbucks or the people that I saw standing in line to get into restaurants over the weekend? So maybe I need to just relax. It didn't used to bother me when I saw homeless people on the train, and you can't judge all of them for having COVID-19. So it's just a very strange sort of thing. But then when you have as the other option, well, skip it, I can just drive. Well, then you say, skip it, I'll just drive. So the CTA loses millions of dollars every day being lost on the CTA They got these giant trains driving around like suburban buses, nobody on there. You think, okay, I want to do my part. I want to get back to normal. It did not feel like a good decision this morning for me. I think I might take a cab when I go home today. It sort of feels like, too, the sort of desire to open up the city maybe more quickly than we should, like how when you're standing in a grocery store line and your line's going slow, and so you think, I'm going to get in the other line because in front of me somebody's writing a check for gum. This is always my experience, right?
Mine too.
Somebody's, trying to take back a head of lettuce and they want Krugerrands or something. It's just like, oh my God, are you kidding me? So then I get in the next line, and that one ends up going slower than the Krugerrand line, where the lady's trying to exchange a head of lettuce. That's never happened. I'm just using that as an example, the Krugerrands in head of lettuce. Anyway, so my point is that I think once you're in a line, you need to stay in that line because eventually that will go through. That's kind of how I feel about the city generally or the state. We need to be as vigilant as we can, as safe as we can, as cautious as we can. Because if we saw, screw it, let's just go, herd mentality, it's going to be even worse. The economy will get set back even more. The Cubs will never play at Wrigley Field, for crying out loud. So let's just stay the course. Wear masks. I know you don't want to wear masks. I'm getting email from people who live in Rockford or DeKalb and Naperville, and people aren't wearing masks. You do not want to get in the other line, and now it's going even slower. Let's just stay the course.
I actually have a comment about my experience on the train today. I felt like I was in a horror film because there were 12 people on the train and 4 or 5 didn't wear masks. So almost half of them didn't wear masks. So I was looking around me like literally like I'm in a horror film.
Left, right. Who's going to come next?
Yeah, and
here comes a germ.
Are they wearing masks? Okay, go on that side and sit 6 feet away.
I did the same thing.
There's just too much thinking involved right now. I don't think we're ready for this. And there needs to be policing of that.
And
I don't want to do that either.
And so you and I have the option, but some people don't. Some people have to go to work. Some people don't have another car. Some people don't have a car. Some people don't have $18 to take an Uber. So they need to safeguard the CTA.
So you said you might not take it home today, but do you think you will ride it again soon?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, Dave. I don't know. I want to. I think I will, but I think it'll be a bad decision almost on my part. Like now, I'm kind of thinking I should go get a COVID test. Sometime soon. Well, this is just too much time to worry, John. You're going to be fine.
Okay, let's not go that far, please.
I know you're more anxious than I am.
You're triggering me now. Yeah.
This does explain a little bit of what I saw this morning. Elif came into the newsroom and did literally a hazmat desanitization session here.
I know.
And now I know why.
You saw me.
You are anxious, Elif, and that's okay. But you're a lot more anxious than I am. And even I was just...